Welcome to Travel World 95. I'm Stephen Pickford. On today's show, we'll be talking to Pamela Rice of Via Rail Canada, looking at the various improvements that Via has made to their business travel product over the past couple of years to try to entice the business traveler back to the rails. But first, let's take a look at the car rental industry. Some very important things are happening that could impact strongly on the business and leisure traveler. I went to Toronto and spoke with Walter Tilden, chairman of Tilden Rent-A-Car System. The car rental industry is often thought to be a very uniform product in nature, a red Corsica being a red Corsica, at least in the mind of the consumer. So it is only through customer service and innovations in that regard that one can differentiate from the competition. Over the past few years, and in reference to Tilden in particular, what have been the major innovations undertaken in these areas?
Well, we've found a particular niche in the market, our competitors, and we have major competitors who tend to be, they are owned by car manufacturers, whether it be Chrysler, GM, or Ford, and we're the only, of the top 5 companies in Canada, we're the only major one that is not owned by a car manufacturer. We're a family-owned Canadian company. And as a result, we've found a niche whereby we're purchased GM, Ford, Chrysler, Nissan, Toyota, even Mazda vehicles, so that we not only have variety, and that's been kind of a niche for us. We've also developed a loyalty program, our privilege card. We have over 35,000 frequent renters who use this card, and we have all the information in our database in regard to these frequent renters, so that they can fly into Toronto from Montreal, for example, and pick up a car and be on their way within 30 seconds. We know we have their license number, we know the type of car and size they want, we know whether they want to purchase the collision damage waiver or not, and their credit card number, license number. So they just produce their credit card and they're gone. They don't even need to sign the rental agreement because we have a master rental agreement with them.
And you also mentioned before we went on the air that you also have sort of negotiated agreements or special privileges with some of the major department stores and credit cards.
Yes, we have a very good arrangement with Bay Zellers where their card holders get special rates from us. And we also we're the only car rental company connected and truck rental company connected with Air Miles. And of course we have the long-time relationship with Canadian Airlines and their Canadian Plus program for frequent flyer points.
And in addition to, for example, the loyalty programs, what types of services are business travelers themselves demanding today from their selected car rental company?
Well, some of them like to have telephones in cars, and our full-size and premium cars are all equipped with phones. There's no charge unless you use the phone, and they're the swipe-type phones. You just can put your credit card in the phone to activate it. We also have portable phones for customers who may want to take a phone with them, or are renting one of our smaller cars that doesn't have the telephone in it. The other thing, they really don't like to wait. They fly to save time, and they like to get in and out of the airport quickly. And we find with our new privilege card that the frequent renters really like that.
Right, they just come right in and they're right out.
Yeah.
And we always hear as well about other developments in the car rental industry, such as the automated rental kiosk and directional navigation aids. Do you see any place for these in the future of the car rental industry, or are they just
very definitely, although I haven't seen the navigational aids in Canada, and I don't think they're yet available, or if they are, they're very few available. But I was in Japan last fall and drove in a rental car that did have it, and it was really quite something. I mean, it showed the street you were going down.
And in particular, in some destinations,
Yes.
it's a safety device as well
Yes.
to get the person where he has to go. Now, it has also been my experience over the years that compared to other car rental firms' customers, Tilden's clients tend to be more loyal and less likely to switch brands readily than renters of other firms. And to what do you attribute that sort of closeness or loyalty that many customers feel to the company?
Sometimes we wish we knew, but we've been around for 70 years, and I think people know we're a Canadian company, but they're certainly not going to rent from us for that reason. I think they like the variety of cars we have, and we're in more airports than any other car rental system, and we have more locations across the country. I think they think of us as being reliable. I would hope they thought we were a bit exciting, but certainly reliable. And you know, we've had many sort of innovative services we provided. We were the first to provide ski-rise cars in many locations in Canada, the first to have convertibles on a cross-Canada basis during the summer months, the first car rental company to get a large fleet of 4x4s, and that's been extremely popular. It's amazing. We used to rent them to the oil companies and the mining companies and the hydro, but now it seems to be the yuppies. I mean, people can't fly to Vancouver and drive up to Whistler without a 4x4. 5 years ago, they could always go in a car, but now they like to have...
Now they like sort of that specialty vehicle.
Yes, and the reliability, and if they run into heavy snow, they know they're going to be able to get through.
And also part of that is the personal contact. They know that there is somebody like Walter Tilden there at the company. It's not a faceless conglomerate.
Yeah, and our VP sales is my niece Trish Tilden, and my son Bruce is involved.
Right, so it's still a family-oriented business.
Very much so.
And let's go on to another issue in the car rental industry. Has also been the rising cost of fleet replacement and the upward pressure on rates that this then presents. Is the situation in Canada the same, better, worse than that in the States?
Well, it's every bit as expensive. The one major expense you left out is interest, and interest rates have gone from 5.25% to 9.75% during the last 16 months. And car costs have been going up. They may talk about a 7% increase in car costs, but by the time you add the options in, the increases have been greater than that.
And sometimes it's hard to then influence the consumer that he has to pay for it because they're so used to rates that have been fairly stable for years.
Our rates right now, and I'm talking for the industry, not just for Tilden, are about the same as they were 5 years ago. And our car costs have gone, the average investment in a car has gone from $13,000 to about $21,000.
And you personally have been active over the years in the promotion of Canadian tourism. From your perspective, how does this summer seem to be shaping up, both for your company and for the industry as a whole?
It's going to be our busiest summer in my 49 years in the business. Last year, our tour business, mainly from Europe, but some from the States, was up 48%. And we're expecting increases this summer. In fact, we're a bit concerned in the mid-July and the first 2 or 3 weeks in August whether we're going to have enough vehicles. And I think it's going to be an industry-wide shortage.
Right, because it's a combination of Canadians staying home plus the people coming.
Well, our low dollar, it makes Canada a very attractive destination and a safe destination. And our tour business in the last 3 years is up over 300%.
So do you have any, knowing that it's going to be a busy year, do you have any particular promotional plans proposed for the summer season, or they pretty well rates will be on the year-round average?
Well, I think rates will probably, rates are moving up. They're up about 10% from last year, and they can't help but keep going up. Not aggressively, but the costs are there, and they're just going to have to go up.
Right, because as costs go up, then of course you have to recoup that investment.
And insurance costs are going up, particularly in Ontario. The no-fault insurance, they've made some changes that are going to be prove to be expensive for people buying insurance.
Right. So where do you see, let's say 10 years down the road, the car rental industry to?
I think there'll be some consolidation during the next 5 or 10 years, but it's going to continue growing as people have more leisure time. So that I'm quite sure that business will continue to increase.
Hi, welcome to Travel Corner. I'm Debbie Cote from Auberge VIP. This week we're going to be discussing how to find a boarding kennel for your pet when you're going away on vacation. Auberge VIP is a boarding kennel here in Montreal that offers a wide variety of accommodations and services for your pet in your absence. A boarding facility is the best alternative care for your pet when you're away. We offer different accommodations depending on price and depending on length of stay. The first thing you want to do when you're looking for a boarding kennel is to visit the facility. You never want to leave your pet in someone's care if you haven't seen where your pet is going to be staying. First thing you must also understand is that boarding is a very stressful experience, not only for the pet, but for the owners as well. If you're not comfortable about where you're leaving your dog or your cat, then you're going to worry the whole time you're away on vacation, which tends to make things not as enjoyable as they can be when you have peace of mind about where your companions are staying. We offer different types of accommodations for dogs as well as for cats, ranging from indoor private runs all the way up to our VIP suite, complete with waterbed and color TV. When you're looking for a boarding facility for your pet, after visiting the premises, there are a few key questions you'll want to ask the staff at the boarding kennel. You'll want to make sure that your pets are not going to be cooped up in a small cage the whole time that you're away. 2-3 week stay, this could be really long. You'll also want to make sure that they have the same time of diet, the same type of schedule, walking habits, brushing, cleaning, the same way you take care of your pet at home, with an emphasis on personal contact. For a dog to spend 2 weeks in a cage, to be put outside twice a day and brought back in, they're really not going to do well. Without food and without water, dogs can survive for a small period of time. Without love, they cannot survive at all. They need companionship, they need reassurance when you're not there. When you're preparing for your vacation, one of the things you should definitely prepare for is also where your pet is going to stay when you're not home. Don't leave it to the last minute. You'll want to visit the facility. You'll want to make sure that the dog or cat's inoculations are completely up to date so that they're fully protected while they are away. You'll also want to make sure that it's understood if your dog has any type of medical problems, that these are all explained to the people at the boarding facility so that they're fully aware of how to care for your pet. Pets need to be cared for on an individual basis. They should be eating the same type of food that they're eating at home. This is also very important. Stress can cause an upset stomach. Changing the dog's diet will also cause an upset stomach. You'll ask the facility if they're carrying the same brand of food that you're feeding your dog at home or your cat. If they're not, you'll definitely want to bring it along. Exercise is very important. You'll want to make sure that the dog's area where he is going to be kept is large enough. At Auberge VIP, we never keep dogs in cages. We have large indoor private runs, 5 by 10 feet and 4 by 8 feet, depending on the size of your pet. The prices vary according to weight. Also for the cats, we offer different types of facilities. We have 1, 2, and 3 level apartments, depending on how many cats there are in the family. Also, again, depending on how much money you would like to spend. Daily rates for cats start at $7.50 and work up to $14. For the dogs, we start at $11.50 and we work up to $16. The VIP suite, which is a room similar to something the dog or cat would be used to at home. It's almost like a living room. There's a sofa, there's a TV, there's a stereo, there's a waterbed. This room is $25 a day. Don't wait to the last minute to book your pet's stay when you're going away on vacation. Make sure to plan well in advance, as boarding facilities do fill up during peak periods of the year, such as Christmas, July, August, high traveling season. You don't want to be left with plane tickets and nowhere to leave your pet. Boarding facilities are the best option. You don't want to leave your dog at home and have someone look in on him twice a day. There are very many things that can go wrong in a situation such as this. This is your dog's home. Your dog is expecting you to come through that door. And it's happened on numerous occasions where the dog did not let the stranger into the house to either walk him, feed him, or take him out. So these are all things you'll want to prepare well in advance. So for this week on Travel Corner, I'm Debbie Cote from Auberge VIP. Thank you very much.
And welcome back. I'm Stephen Pickford, and joining us now is Pamela Rice of Via Rail Canada. She's a corridor services marketing specialist with Via Rail, and she's going to let us know about some of the services that the business traveler can expect now in the corridor. Welcome to Travel World.
Thank you.
Now, if someone hasn't taken the train recently, what can he or she expect to find new now aboard the train?
What's new aboard the train? The train is offering the traveler what we call productivity of travel time, which means that they can work while they're traveling. One of the big advantages of the train, and our customers tell us, is they like to be able to work while they're going to wherever they are going. Our first class service offers very comfortable seats, lots of space in which to work, areas in which to keep your materials and so on, and a fairly uninterrupted period of time in which you can work. But there are also many services available on board. It's a fairly personalized service with meals included as part of your service. And we have our panorama lounges in Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto.
Right, where the passenger can basically just check in. They don't have to stand in line.
That's right. They go right in. The lounge has beverages available, juices, coffee, tea, soft drinks. They have magazines if you want a few minutes to relax, and then off you go right upstairs to your train and right on board the train.
Oh, okay. Now also in Via One you offer a choice of meal entrees depending on the time of the day. Can you maybe give us an idea of what you might expect for lunch or dinner on the...
All right. Well, you have a choice of 3 entrees, 2 hot and 1 cold. So for example, you might have salmon, a hot salmon, a beef usually, and then your cold can be a chicken, for example, a cold chicken dish with vegetables. But there's a nice salad going before that, rolls, wine with your meal, and usually cocktails are available as well, and then followed by dessert.
Okay, and then of course beverages throughout the...
And beverages throughout the entire trip.
Okay, and another main thing now that is offered in Via One services, you can now pre-assign your seat. You don't have to rush and try to find your preferred seating, which is of course... the
pre-assigned seating is quite popular.
Pre-assigned seating is popular with the business traveler, and of course, as you alluded to before, they have remodeled within the past couple of years the LRC equipment.
The LRC is totally refurbished equipment, and it's been very well received by our customers. And we also went through a test last year of adding electrical outlets and some additional business oriented features to allow travelers to even increase their productivity on board the train.
Right, this was sort of the business travel car.
It was called a business suite. We tested between Montreal and Toronto. We had electrical outlets for the computer, which is very popular with our travelers. We had oversized tables, which gave you more space to work in. And as well, we had an area where you could go and work and receive and send faxes and maybe use your cell phone if you wished, and with some privacy. And that was sort of in an introductory trial stage. That was a trial. It was very successful, and now we're working with our engineers to do the final engineering to bring this product forward, and it'll be on all of our Via One cars, which is our first class cars, between Quebec City and Windsor. Okay, perfect. Now also, you've also made some scheduling modifications. It is now possible to get to and from Toronto, for example, in the same day. That's right. That's right. We offer a morning, out of Montreal, for example, we offer a morning departure around 6 o'clock, and it gets you into Toronto at 10:40. And then, of course, we have our afternoon frequencies and the very popular Express, which leaves at 5 o'clock, and it takes you 3 hours and 59 minutes to downtown, or Dorval, which is 3 hours and about 40 minutes. And that's a very popular train with our business travelers. Right, because there's no stops, not even Kingston, not even Guildwood. Totally non-stop. Okay, and then also you can do the same-day return as well to Ottawa or Quebec City. That's right. We offer our scheduling around, especially for the business traveler, early morning departures of our major cities, and then getting you in, for example, in Ottawa, you're in by 9, into Quebec City, you're in just before 10, and then you have your afternoon departures around, well, 5:30, 6 o'clock, depending on which city we're talking about, so you can come back and have a full day of business, but come back again the same night.
Right. Now, focusing on Toronto, for instance, how many round trips each business day do you presently offer?
Well, we have 6 frequencies in each direction each day. So you have a full selection, and we have business travelers who take all throughout the day. They take their trains depending on their own schedule.
Okay, and downtown convenience, the train does go from Central Station
That's
to
one of the
Union
big highlights
Station.
is we're downtown to downtown service, which certainly adds to the convenience for the traveler.
And when you look at the elapsed travel time, I'm sure you've done studies, elapsed travel time downtown to downtown, air versus rail. How do
we compare? Well, on our express trains, as I said, we're 3 hours and 59 minutes. From Central Station, for example, in Montreal to Union Station in Toronto, but we're 3 hours and 40 minutes from Dorval to Union Station in Toronto. If you look at the air time, it's a good 3 hours and 10 if you all in. And you can't really work very well during that time. That's the advantage of the train, is it's very competitive time-wise, and you can plan for your meeting, or debrief after your meeting is over, which is very helpful. You'll see people taking notes, working on their computers, and so on.
Right, it's also very relaxing. You can
and
gather
it's relaxing,
your thoughts. You're
exactly.
not standing in line, going through
That's
security.
right. It's a no-hassle way of travel, and with service at the same time, so it's quite convenient from that perspective.
Now, one thing that corporate travel managers are always looking at is the pricing aspect,
Sure.
giving the corporate travel manager something in return for directing that amount of business to that particular carrier. What type of programs do you have in place?
Well, you're referring specifically to the person in the corporate travel manager in the company?
The corporate travel manager who may want to direct more and more of his city pair service to Via Rail. Do you have, for example, a corporate purchasing program?
We're testing right now a corporate program in the Ottawa area. We're starting it out, and it's an incentive program with a rebate based on volume of travel. And we've just started, in fact, receiving our applications for that program. Based on our experience with that program, we will, in fact, take it right across from Quebec City to Windsor. As we see the results and find out which form of incentive program corporations are most interested in.
Okay, and while we're always on topic of business travelers seem to love the airline, frequent traveler programs. I know Amtrak has sort of sometimes looked at that.
Yes, we're actively looking at it. We have one very solid proposal sitting in front of us, and we're looking at making the final decision very shortly. So we can we're looking at an incentive program. There's substantial savings. We're 50%, our first class is 50% of the air costs, so the corporation immediately gets a tremendous windfall, if you like, of savings. And then if we do go ahead with a frequent user program, that of course is also of interest to the traveler. So we look at both sides, what's benefit to the traveler and what is in the best interest of the corporation. So we look at both sides of the equation.
Now, if somebody isn't traveling in first class, the company says, oh, you cannot travel first class. What do you offer them if they're traveling in coach with regards to service on board?
The services in coach the cars are very comfortable. Again, you have the productivity of time advantage, and as well we offer complimentary beverages, snacks, and that type of thing on board, and there are also light meals available. And you also depending on which time you're traveling.
Depending on the time of day, of course. And pricing-wise, with regards to it, you have some advanced purchase.
Yes, we also offer discount purchases, 5-day advance purchase. It's a limited number of seats available, but it's a 40% discount, which of course is very attractive. In any market, it offers a substantial discount and therefore savings.
And senior travelers would get a further...
Seniors get a further 10% off, so they get 50%.
And the 10% would apply even if they went in...
They always get 10% off
any type
Via's
of fare.
best available fare.
Great. Now, some questions, or actually 2 questions that viewers have already approached me with, because we're principally seen on the West Island. A lot of travelers get on at Dorval, and they wonder how come Dorval is the only suburban station in the system that charges for parking.
That parking lot is not owned by Via Rail. It's operated by someone else under a lease arrangement, and it's maintained that way.
Okay, has there be thought given to maybe validating parking, or if somebody presented a train ticket?
That's a very interesting concept. We'll have to think about that.
And another viewer also has written us and suggested that, for example, passengers heading eastbound to Quebec City, for example, how come they are not allowed to get on at Dorval? The train is coming in from Toronto or Ottawa. Those passengers can connect in Montreal, but you cannot get on at Dorval, make your connection.
That's a good valid question. The reason we don't have it that way, we have the similar situation from Guildwood, which is a suburban station east of Toronto, is that for us to provide a coach, for example, to carry people a few kilometers would be extraordinarily costly for us to bring it all the way from Toronto and through. And that's why we don't pick up at those suburban stops to go through.
Although, for example, you can do Oakville through to Montreal via Toronto.
You can, that's right.
Oh, okay, because that was sort of confusing to some
But
people.
on that route, we have a lot more people on and off, so it tends to balance itself out. Whereas coming into Montreal in that direction, it wouldn't balance itself out.
Okay, now let's also now look at the future of rail travel in Canada. Where do you see, for example, 10 years down the road? We always hear about improvements, long-term infrastructure improvements in the corridor. Do you think these will ever lead anywhere, maybe within the next 10 years? Or?
Well, VIA is actively looking at areas where we can make changes. Of course, we're still waiting. We're waiting for some decisions from the federal government in terms of long-term investment infrastructure. But VIA has made advances. For example, a 3-hour and 59-minute schedule. We invested, I think, $2 to $3 million to bring that about. We invested $7 million. This is between Toronto and Windsor to speed up the trains. So we are continually looking at ways to invest and allowing us to improve frequency or travel time. And we're not standing still. Though the government has a big infrastructure decision to make, we're still moving forward in the direction of continuing to modernize and upgrade and update our schedules and our equipment refurbishment. For example, we're going into the second round of refurbishment of our LRC equipment in about a year's time. So we're continuing to move forward.
And basically, with regards to the corridor is pretty well the most heavily traveled, the most profitable sector of the system.
That's correct, yeah.
We always again hear about funding for Via Rail, and that's always vagary. So I guess when you look at the corridor service is probably the closest to full cost recovery.
It is certainly the one with the greatest potential for cost recovery, yes.
Okay, perfect. So that pretty well we have around 60 seconds left. So why don't you just in maybe 30 seconds let us know about Silver and Blue class. I think that's just to whet the appetite of our business travelers thinking of traveling on vacation by rail.
Okay. Silver and Blue class is our first class service from Toronto to Vancouver, and that is a cruise. Basically, essentially, it's a first-class cruise across the country. It's a wonderful cruise with highlights all the way across, with absolutely first-class service. Dining in the dining car with the linen, the glass, the silver, the beautiful meals, again, first-class meals, all-inclusive in your price. It's a rolling hotel.
It's really a land cruise, something to behold. Thanks you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you again right here next week on Travel World 95.